down.
So here we are wrapping up week 10 of training for the IPF Equipped World Championship. About 6 weeks to go until competition time, so it's sneaking up rather closely. It feels especially close once we get to this point because I know the last 2 weeks training really minimizes and I don't have very many workouts and then we're traveling, so it's getting really close. Starting to get excited. Summarizing week 10. It was a doubles week in full gear for everything. Sunday started off with full gear squat doubles up to 240. The biggest thing that sucks about full gear multiple reps for me is that the pain and positioning that it puts my wrists in. My wrists tend to roll back a little bit as I'm squatting, so it gets into a lower bar position and sort of back in my wrists, and it's hard to keep the right upper body position when it's in that lower position. So the second rep is always more challenging than the first one. But got through them. Arms felt decent after. I did some safety bar squats after the full gear stuff, and then I did some raw squats as well. I was supposed to do the raw squats first and then safety bar, but I flopped those just to give my arms a little bit of a break before going back to the barbell stuff. But the raw stuff's feeling really good still, moving really good. Raw doesn't always increase as equipped stuff is increasing, just because it's not necessarily the same. You're not focusing on the raw lifting and your weak points aren't necessarily the same. So when equipped is a priority, raw sometimes will not necessarily be making the gains the same as equipped is, but right now things are moving really well. Monday I had some shirted bench and again some doubles. This week to a 2 wrap. I ended up doing my raw benching first because I was in the gym early and not enough people were there to help me. So I ended up going up to 115 kilos for 4 reps for my raw stuff, which I'm pretty sure is a PB. And then I did my shirted stuff after. So the 2 wrap isn't much of a difference between touching my chest to the wrap, but it is some. Especially if the wrap sort of crinkles as I'm touching it. I don't touch the whole thing, I might only touch a portion of it, but still it gives me confidence handling the heavier weight. I had 3 doubles to a 2 wrap in my shirt, worked up to 195 kilos for that, and then some more accessory. My deadlift day was also doubles, 3x2. I'm still really trying to improve my deadlift positioning, so I just stuck with 195 this week for my equipped deadlift doubles. And yes, I did the same weight for my equipped deadlift this week as I did for my equipped bench, which I'm not sure how I feel about, but I'm accepting it and we'll take it as it is. Yeah, and then I had some snatch grip deadlifts and some RDLs. Second bench day, I got to put on my shirt again this week. I was programmed half range of motion pin press in the shirt. Thing about pin press in a shirt is that you really have to control the touch, otherwise the bar is just going to roll forward on the pins. But then you don't have to focus on the touch as much because you don't really have to worry about what your chest is doing, and you can just focus on the press a little bit more. So I had 4x4 scheduled there. I worked up to 200 4x4, and then I really wanted to hold some heavier weight in my hand. So I went off program a little bit and did 210 for a double and 220 for a double. I really wanted to hold 4 plates in my hand, but we felt like 210 to 225 was too big of a jump, so I compromised with 220, which we loaded as 4 reds without a collar. I'm really surprised with how 220 felt in my hands. It didn't feel heavy in my hands. The press was pretty smooth. The biggest thing was just on the second rep, again, got back in my wrists a little bit, so that sort of felt off and not optimal. But the weight itself didn't feel heavy in my hands, which is pretty crazy seeming to me. Some full range of motion pin press, raw, and then a bit of shoulder work, my push-ups that I despise every week, but I keep doing. This whole training cycle on my secondary bench day, I've had typically 2 or 3 sets of diamond grip push-ups to failure, and then 2 or 3 sets of wide grip push-ups to failure. I really sucked at these the first couple of weeks. This past week, it wasn't my best on the diamond grip. I did 19, 12, and then 9, and I usually take like 90 to 120 seconds between sets. And then on my wide grip, 21, 18, 18. The first week that I had them though, diamond grip push-ups, I did 12, 10, and 10. And then wide grip was 16, 15, 14. So I like the improvement that I've done on those, even though they're just push-ups. And they've been in this program the entire 10 weeks so far. So maybe that's attributing to my raw and equipped bench getting stronger. I don't know what combination it is, but we'll keep doing them. My last day this week was just my accessory squat deadlift day. Had some 4s for pause squats, and then some iso deads for 4s as well, Bulgarian split squats, and some accessory. That pretty much wraps up what training was like this week. Still in gear constantly, I hope, I don't know. I think this is my last week of doubles. I believe, in talking to Blaine, I only have 1 more week of my programming, but I believe that he's going to transition me now just to singles in the gear to try and work on perfecting that. But we'll see what comes in the next few weeks. So body weight update, I'm basically sitting low 73s most days, which is basically right where I want it to be. Still feeling really good, feeling nourished. So yeah, really pleased with how that's going. Training's going really well. Like raw stuff is feeling phenomenal. Equipped stuff is going very, very well. So it's one of those things that it's like a little puzzle that you don't know what parts of it are affecting what. It could be just the programming, it could be just the nutrition, it could be my recovery, mindset, sleep, all of those things play a factor. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and we'll see where that puts me in 6 weeks. So we were going to have Ryan on with me and field some of your questions that you guys sent in, sort of for the 2 of us, our relationship. However, Saskatchewan Provincials is this weekend and we're a little bit limited for time, so we're going to push that back to next week, and you're just stuck with me now. What I'm going to talk about this week is mindset on competition day. So Saskatchewan Provincials just happened. I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that I noticed some lifters doing this past weekend at Sask Provincials. So one thing I noticed this past weekend at Sask Provincials with a lot of lifters was a negative mindset, or like a not positive mindset. To me, on meet day, the only thing that needs to be going through your head is positive thoughts that you're going to make this lift, that things are going to feel light, that things are going your way. From some of the lifters that I was coaching or helping with, and from overhearing some thoughts, I heard, not a lot, but some like, oh, this is going to feel heavy, or I'm not sure that I can do it, but let's try. To me, on meet day, like the only thing going through your head should be positive thoughts, that you know you can do it, that you have tons of confidence in everything that you're doing. Anytime those negative thoughts, or maybe not negative, but sort of questioning, putting a little bit of doubt in your mind, start coming through your head, then there's that little bit of doubt, and you're not going to have the same confidence going at it. So if it's a squat and it's heavier weight than you've ever handled, but you're very apprehensive about it and not really sure that it's there, then you're more likely to cut it high or just lose positioning a little bit and not perform it so that you can get white lights. So yeah, I think confidence and mindset is something that a lot of lifters, and especially newer lifters, can work on and just get those gains there. It also can help, I think, get rid of some nerves too. If you have confidence in what you're doing, it can help just eliminate some of those nerves. I think the other thing with mindset is that coaches can play a vital role in that. Ideally, a meet day coach is gonna do most of the thinking and analyzing that you need to do. As an athlete, when I'm competing, I'm not thinking about numbers, I'm not thinking about what my competition is doing or what I need to be putting on the bar. That's my coach's responsibility, they know that. I would say very rarely am I asked, what do you want to go? Or what do you want to do? The odd time I might be asked, okay, here's a situation. If you lift this, then you'll move into this position. If you lift this, you'll move into this position. But more often than not, my coaches and I have discussed prior to the competition, okay, what are the goals, setting them out in order of priority, and then they know, so they don't need to ask me on meet day. I can just focus on keeping in the right headspace for myself that day and focus on executing the lifts as I need to. So I think there's a lot of athletes I know that will be looking at the score sheet and looking at what other people are doing, but maybe you need to rely on your coach more that way to do the analysis, look at other people's totals or Wilks's or whatever you're looking at, and as a lifter, just worrying about the execution of the lifts. The other thing that with mindset that coaches can really help with is giving that more positive encouragement and avoiding the negative words or negative ways of phrasing things. I know this weekend I heard a couple of coaches tell their lifter, okay, this one's gonna feel heavy, but you're gonna go out there and do it. And it's like, well, why not just say you're gonna go out there and do it and get rid of the heavy, which can be construed as a negative thing. I know for me, when I benched at the Arnold, I made my opener, missed my second attempt, and then I was coming out for my third. And the guy who was handing off kept saying, as I'm setting up, you're not gonna miss this, you're not gonna miss this. And as I'm setting up, what's going through my head is, you're phrasing that wrong because you're putting the miss this. There's stuff saying that the brain can't process the I'm not, so all that it hears is I'm going to miss this. I ended up getting it, but it's just sort of a funny thing to me to be processing at that time when I'm setting up, thinking about benching. I'm processing that that's not the right terminology to be using. And I think coaches can play with that as well in trying to use more positives. Sometimes athletes do need corrections on how they're performing the lifts, or maybe they were too tight or too loose, but there's very minimal technical corrections that you can change on meet day, so it needs to be very small cues, and it needs to be framed in the positive. All right, so that wraps up another week for us. We're completed week 10 and into week 11 of 16, leading up to the IPF Equipped World Championships. It's really feels like it's close to me because we're now into October and we leave, I think, November 4th. We fly out to Sweden, so it's like, okay, we're only here for this month, and then we go and it's time to compete. So it's sneaking up really fast, but really I couldn't be much happier with how progress is being made. Hopefully the trends continue the same in the coming 6 weeks, and we'll go from there. Like I said at the start, Ryan was supposed to be on this week. We're gonna push that back. So we have a bunch of questions from you guys that we'll address next week, but if you have any, be sure to let us know, and either one of us or both of us will touch on them at the end of week 11. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll see you next week.